Everyone loves the idea of raising strong, confident daughters until they become strong, confident daughters. And then we call them disrespectful. They have an attitude. The world thinks that we want confident girls. But then the world also tells our daughters, maybe tone it down a little bit. Maybe smile a little more. Doesn't need to be so awkward. So how do we raise daughters that are comfortable in their own skin and don't apologize for taking up space? That's today. And this is now Parenting Teens Today. I'm Tiffany Dogie, President and CEO of Children's Harbor, and I have 3 women with me today that I genuinely adore and respect for how they show up in the world. So let's start.
I'm first?
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, what you want people to know about you,
Okay.
and then answer the question at the end. Raising fierce means...
Okay, so I'm Romi Wallach. I am the co-founder of The Daily Drip. We are a media platform here in South Florida for South Florida businesswomen. What's unique about us is that everything you read, watch, and listen to is created by local female professionals. I am the mom of 2 adult children and 2 beautiful foster dogs. And what does it mean to be raising fierce?
Yeah.
So I think for me, I didn't raise fierce. Fierce kind of raised me. Like fierce was sort of already built into the DNA. But for me, it was like, how do I tame the beast but maintain the integrity of who she is? I didn't want to dampen that. So that's sort of been my journey, is how do I navigate the fact that I love this strong-willed, strong-minded person, but make sure that it doesn't get her kicked out of more than the 2 schools she got kicked out of.
I would have to say mission accomplished. So I'm going to boomfish you. Karen.
Agreed. So I'm Karen Ross. I'm a partner with Palermo Lansman Ross. We're a boutique full-service CPA firm in Cooper City. We do have clients in all 50 states and about 20 different countries. And so, especially being a woman in finance and having to be fierce, raising fierce to me meant the opposite of Miss Abby, because Shelley is very sweet and empathetic and very
Abby's
tame.
sweet.
And there's no beast in her. And it was about keeping that and then bringing out that really confident and strong-willed human, but keeping the sweet soul, keeping that empathy. She has a tremendous amount of empathy. And typically people with empathy really struggle because they carry the weight of everyone. And I didn't want her carrying that. So, raising fierce to me is like setting boundaries for yourself, being confident, setting boundaries, teaching her to protect herself and still be empathetic towards others and what they're going through, and identifying when you need to protect yourself and having like self-awareness. I think that's what it would be for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
love that.
Miss Ruchi.
I'm Ruchika Gadh. I am a family practice physician. I have my own practice in Plantation. I have 3 daughters.
3.
So, yes.
Wait, moment of silence.
God
Moment of
bless.
silence.
Yes. I have twin girls who just turned 18 and they're
Twins.
in college.
Whoa,
Yes.
that's a double moment of silence.
She gets
But-
double points in
But I
Scouting.
will tell you, I was very blessed with them. They were very easy to raise and very, even up until teen years and being 18, I don't think I've had many teen issues with them, but again, it's probably how they were raised. My youngest is 11. It's very different raising the set of twins and then my 11-year-old. So as far as raising fierce, when I think of that, I think of bold, confident, independent, smart. It's in the world now, I feel like there's so much that can go on, and I've had so much happen in my life that I have tried to raise them to kind of be on their own, and kind of like what Karen was saying, like I always tell my kids that you can learn a lot of skills in life. You can learn, how to study and how to, kind of be smart to some extent, but you cannot learn compassion. You cannot learn kindness. You cannot learn how to give to others and learn about everyone and learn different aspects of the world and people and cultures. So my main goal with my kids was to make them very well-rounded and very worldly so they can make a difference in the world. So
I love that. Okay, let's do this. The world, and I mentioned this earlier, still rewards our girls for staying likable and agreeable, not making things awkward. How do we raise daughters who know that their voice matters, but or know that their voice matters even when they're making people uncomfortable.
Didn't Cody Sanchez just post, like, if you're not pissing someone off, you're not doing it right. If someone doesn't hate you, you're doing something wrong. If no one's going against you, then you're leading in the wrong direction.
I agree with that last statement, but not the whole statement. Like, I don't think you have to piss people off to be fierce. I don't think you have to be ugly or bitchy, for the lack of beep, to be. Okay, go ahead. You answer.
Well, I think it's interesting, actually. So I think Abby has always been the kind of person that spoke her mind. And I think I was so much like that as well, that like my parents did a very good job of trying to teach me how to manage that. So it's like finding this balance of being very articulate in what you have to say, not wavering in your values, like knowing how to have a tough conversation without having to be rude or insulting or disrespectful, but hold your ground. And I think I caught myself, we live right now, especially in a time where like, almost any topic, like it's hard to have a conversation about a glass of water without somebody, without it becoming polarizing, right? Is it hydrolyzed or whatever? But I think, right, like people can find something to divide on anything. And what I caught myself doing, and I had to backpedal, was that my daughter is becoming, very much her own individual, even though she's kind of always been like that. But at 22, she's making her way in the world. And I found myself, cautioning her, maybe don't say this, maybe be a little quieter. And all of a sudden I realized, I was like, that's actually not what I want to be teaching her. Like I was, because I was always like a people pleaser and I don't love conflict, despite what people might think. I caught myself thinking like, I want to more give her guidance on how to continue to know, to be firm in her beliefs, to be able to speak her mind, but know how to do it with respect and not be like, not back down from that. So for me, it's just about like honoring and respecting other people's points of view, but like stay true. People are going to be upset. You're not going to please everyone. That's okay. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying is, I don't even need to say something intentionally to upset someone, but some people are just going to be offended or upset just by your natural growth or what you're doing. Like, I think that's been the history of what's happened, especially between women, which is even more mind-blowing to me, right?
Yes.
Is you should have women supporting women, not trying to break each other down. So
Right.
that's a whole other podcast.
That's next week.
Yeah,
that is literally next week.
So I think even like you're saying, like no matter whether you avoid conflict or not, at some point, if you're a strong thought leader, if you're a strong leader, if you're a strong influence, if you're a strong social media presence, if you can run a room better than someone else, there's going to be someone in there that is offended or upset or going to talk about you, but that shouldn't make you afraid to be that leader. You shouldn't shrink, right? You shouldn't shrink because someone else might be offended and they can't handle it. That's on them.
But I think that's part of being a good leader too, right? Not everyone's going to agree with what you have to say, right? And I, like, in my case, I have 3 different personalities in my house as far as my daughters. And all of them have tried to be leaders or are leaders in their own way. Like, one of the twins is very bold and confident in how she speaks. She's done speech and debate. And just the way she leads is very outward and very vocal. And her twin is just the opposite, very quiet, but she's a leader and she's ran many organizations and clubs and things like that. And it's just she's been on the quiet side, and some respected it, some didn't, but she led and she did a great job. My youngest one is just a mix of the two, where she's just like, she'll go in and she'll tell them what it is like, but then she knows how to kind of hold back and be compassionate. In mine, like even in my office, my husband and I, he's also a physician and we run the practice together, but his leading is very different from mine. I'm kind of also maybe a little quieter, but when I want things done, I will tell my staff and they respect it. And then, they come back and be like, oh my God, you're the best boss ever. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I made my point in a nice way. My husband might be a little more direct and joke around. And, he's kind of the goofball in the office, but his leading is a little different. Some may like it, some may not. But I think it's just a matter of knowing who you're leading and how they perceive, your thoughts. And
have you ever caught yourself, as you were raising your girls, um, leaning towards maybe tone it down, honey? And then, did you ever catch yourself and then reel yourself back, or what did that teach
I
you?
probably have, because I know growing up, I was raised in a very conservative, typical Indian family. My parents were very, very conservative. My mom, a lot of things that I did, she'd be like, "Oh, don't talk," or don't wear that, or do this. It was just very, it was very much about how you look to the community. They were immigrants. They immigrated here, so they had to make, their mark, and they wanted to impress and grow. So I think when I look at my kids, I try not to do that. And of course we do to some extent, because, when they go to school, we want to make sure they're living up to a certain, a certain level. But yeah, I have. But I think for the most part, I've held myself back, being like, you know what, I'm going to let you be you. Because even my twins are very different. They're opposite of each other. And I never dressed them alike. I tried never to compare them. I was always kind of like let you be you, because this is the world you live in, and you need to be yourself.
You need to be yourself.
And
I think that the harder challenge now, and I feel like I got lucky because my daughter's a little bit older than your girls. So, she didn't grow up with social media the way some of the ones who are maybe 8-10 years behind her. But that plays a part in how we parent and how we're talking to them about how they're showing up. Because we got to do shit and say things like, and it stayed in that space.
in your little space.
Like if I was, I mean, I remember when I was going through like the thick of it with Abby, and it was sort of in the earlier, she was actually a baller of a teenager. Like we did all the hard, heavy lifting in the front end. And I remember looking at my mom and she's like, yeah, I had two like her, like me and my sister.
Yeah.
But with them, it's trying to explain, like, I want you to speak your truth. I want you to be confident in sharing your point of view. Like I built a whole platform about challenging the status quo, about pushing, critical thinking, all of these things. But the consequences are significant now when you put these things out on social media, and the margin for error in terms of how people receive the information, whether it's something you write, something you comment on, something you just like. So I think like there's an extra layer now where they have to have consequences are inevitable. It helps you grow, right? Like, oh, I said this, didn't have the right outcome, I'm not going to do that again. But they're battling like a much broader sort of problem. So now it's not just like be careful what you say or think this through. It's like the repercussions are significant. It's going to affect a job that you could or could not get hired for. It could affect so many things. The impact is huge.
Relationships.
So it's like, how do you find the balance between, I want you to share your points of view, even if other people don't like it. I want you to be honest about, all of these things, no different than anyone else, but also understand that like now it's on public display. And so are you going to wake up in a week, a year, 3 years from now and still be okay with that? So there's like a whole extra layer into how to be fierce, be confident, be bold, and also be mindful of what the consequences could look like.
They're just set to a whole other standard. They have to do this and that and that and that and balance all the things. I was a no social media parent, and I got a lot of pushback on that. I don't care. I think that raising, especially my daughter, raising her without any social media was the best thing I could have ever done, because she was never in this place where she was forced because of their immature brains. Their brains are not developed to manage that emotional maturity. And they're just watching what's happening on social media and comparing themselves to things that are not reality. Like, who's posting reality on social media other than us? It's not real, especially at that age. So I didn't want her being exposed to having to deal with those really mature feelings. And I said, look, your senior year of high school, you can have social media, because at that point you will have developed thick enough skin and the mental maturity to be able to handle like who's doing that and who's doing that, and are we really determining our self-worth based on likes and comments and whose reel we're in. And the other thing I found really interesting is,
Can I just interrupt you? Grown women are establishing their validity by whose reel they're in,
It's insane.
and
It's
how many
insane.
likes they have,
sad.
and why didn't anybody?
And the
it's
tricky
all of us.
part with the kids is that, and again, like I was very lucky because it really wasn't much of a thing until Abby was quite a bit older. But the problem is that it's such a big part of their social like communication. It's how they're communicating to each other outside of school. It's how they're meeting up. It's how, so it's a challenge. I'm not saying like it's not one or the other, but it is a challenge for them to still be a part of something when they're clearly not a part of something in terms of the communication. Like so much was happening in that way via whether it was text messages or social, like Snapchat and all these other things. So the social component is tricky and it's harder.
And I think it's hard for them to become fierce when you're having text and social media conversation. If I have a problem with you, we were raised to pick up the phone or meet with that person and communicate and come to an understanding. Now on social media and on Snapchat and whatever other platforms they're
text.
using, there's no communication. There's no common ground. There's no respect. They're losing the ability to be fierce and brave and say, Romi, I was upset by, and lay it out and say, oh, Karen, you know, I'm sorry you felt that way. This was where it was coming from. That communication's gone. It's just this texting and this pictures of Snap all back and forth all day long. I'm like, do you talk to people?
No.
How do people know
But-
how can you be fierce? Who knows who you are?
But that's the issue, right? I think for us, it's that it's not coming from the children. It's coming from home, right? Their parents are doing it. Their parents haven't raised them enough, I think, to tell them that this is not, this is not going to, this is not who you are, and this is not who you have to be. Like, I feel like with my twins, they were kind of on the cusp. I feel when they graduated, they were never really into social media they were never on their phones too much, and I feel like I just got lucky with that now that they're graduated and older. But yeah, my youngest, I mean, she's not on social media, but she has the texting, and I see some of it, and it is more of the other girls and the things that they say, because she lets me read everything, and I'm like, God, how does someone's parent let them talk like that or do that or post a picture like that? Because my biggest thing was like, never be in someone else's picture, because you don't know what job interview or what college is going to see that, and then you're going to get kicked out of school. But that's my issue, is it comes from home, and I think we've raised our kids to know better, but when our kids are exposed to the other side with other kids, it's hard to get them away from that. So I think I've spent my whole life kind of tracking all my daughter's friends and kind of like making groups, but at some point they have to live their own life too, right? Now they're in college, but I feel like we've done a good enough job for them to have that instinct, like, okay, this person's not going to be good for me, or they're going to be toxic to me. But yeah, I feel like I've been just chasing, like even now with my youngest, I'm just chasing her and kind of saying, oh, who you're friends with. But she's learning, because she'll be like, yeah, I don't think she was a good friend, or I don't think it was a good idea to be our friends. And you could kind of see when the grades dip and then when the grades go back up.
Yeah.
Like I think it's a huge deal.
I think it's why I loved overnight camp for my kids. It's why I valued it so much. I mean, it was an opportunity where my kids would spend 7 weeks out in nature. 7 to 8 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, they go all summer. From the age of 8, they started going.
Oh, wow.
And they were completely removed from social media. There was no tech, no nothing. Like, there's no parents getting involved in their problem solving. Like, something happened and they had to work it out for themselves. They had to learn how to coexist in a space with 8, 10, 12 other kids their age, and how to navigate those arguments, and who's monitoring that? 16-year-old kids. Yeah. Right? But I say that to say that, like, the greatest growth, the greatest opportunity for them to learn these communication skills, how to manage things without parents getting involved, because that's a whole separate issue, right?
Agree,
like my biggest challenge with Abby growing up was more the other parents and far less even about her. You come up against a lot of parents that don't want to acknowledge or recognize who their kids are. And my approach was always different. Like, my approach was, yes, like, they're responding poorly, or even when Abby got kicked out of school, like, yes, they were wrong in a lot of respects, but I wasn't going to ignore the reality that she'd contributed to a problem that I had to address. So I could say, to all the people, but at the end of the day, I had to work in-house. I had to solve these problems in-house, because I had no control over what other parents were saying, what other parents were doing.
You're right.
So my whole approach was, how do I teach her to navigate those kinds of situations? But overnight camp was a game changer for my kids. They had to, when they felt a certain way, they had to write a letter home. And by the time I got it, they were so past that problem. Whereas today, parents are so over engaged in their kids' social lives. Like, parents are responding to their kids' text messages.
That's ridiculous.
Not
Oh,
okay.
gosh. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Not
No.
okay.
No, I
not
know.
okay.
Not
The-
okay.
Like
No.
you're depriving your kids of the ability and the skill set they need
To resolve,
to manage
advocacy.
these
Yeah.
relationships going forward. It's
to resolve conflict.
I said to Shelly this morning, I said, to prepare for this, I was like, I just want to know one thing from you. If you could tell me one thing that I did for you as a mom that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, tell me one thing. And she goes, you taught me to advocate for myself. So hard.
Yes.
Like, if you know me at all, and when everybody listens to this, they're going to laugh. Because, like, you come for my kids, I will come for you.
Yeah.
oh no,
I will. I will
yes.
come for you, and
Yes.
you will be running. I tone that. I hold it so tight inside, and I never any issues that Shelly had with other kids at school, dancers, any situations that went on. I never advocated for her. I taught her how to advocate for herself
Yeah.
because I'm not always going to be here.
No, we dealt in house
And-
with those things.
yeah,
I
Yes.
never
It's-
had
yes.
one conversation with another parent.
No,
If he-
even teachers. I never even.
Yeah,
I
nope,
just say
never
you
with
email your teacher, you
teachers.
talk to your
Nope.
teacher, you talk to your friends. We can give advice. Come to us for advice.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to fight your battles.
And being
Yeah.
okay with pushing against Shelly. She's very, my kids are also very different. You know, I have the almost 18-year-old and almost 16-year-old. They're very, very different. She like wants to be right. So I raised her as young as possible to be okay with being wrong, so that I would say like, well, I know this is the way you see the situation with your friend, but this is where I think you were wrong. And not just sugarcoating and being mom and being like, oh, you're perfect and everything you do is right. And no, it's teaching them how to advocate, how to have awareness of when they're wrong, how to communicate. But she said the advocacy. I know how to advocate for myself. You know, she's in charge of her own schedule. She's in charge of her own decision making. Holy moly, the decision making. I see so many parents. They literally are giving their children decision paralysis. They cannot make decisions for
No,
themselves.
Amen.
they're
Yeah.
literally choreographing who their friends are, where they're
Oh,
spending
it's
their
insane.
time. They're
Yeah,
getting
even all the way up
involved
to
in ways-
college. I'm seeing it in college. Like it's so
absurd.
ridiculous. They're picking out their classes, and then they're like telling them, who to live with and how to live and what to decorate. Like it's just, yeah. I mean,
I didn't even know the classes my
might-
kids were taking.
I don't either. They pick their own electives and everything. I never had any knowledge of their
Yes, they
They
schedules.
pick their own electives. That was terrifying for a moment. If you are watching us right now and you're thinking, this is exactly what I need in my life, would you please take a moment and subscribe to our channel, because that really helps us. That is a free way that you can help a charity. Subscribe, and then send it to someone else that you know that is struggling with their teenager, because that's what we're here for. All right, back. I do agree. I feel like we've lost our humanity. We've lost our ability, or we're not teaching our children it's okay to have a different opinion. It's the way that you have the opinion. Like, it's not just announcing your opinion to the world and bulldozing over everybody. You're also a human, and their opinions matter too in this
Yes.
age, in this digital age.
Well,
Their
what
opinions
Dr.
matter
Randy
too.
did that segment on like the mom going into the room and apologizing to the, and I was crying because it was so I'm constantly apologizing to my kids, but I think also raising fierce in failure. It's okay to fail.
Yes.
There is boldness in that.
It's
There is
necessary.
boldness in owning a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you become fierce. Being like, I messed up here. I said that wrong thing. I misjudged myself.
All the time.
All the time.
All the
Like,
time, say the wrong thing.
all the time.
And if we can do it, then our kids will learn that it's
Yeah.
okay for them to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the role models we have to be.
I think creating a space too, where like at least for me, I think my North Star was whatever I did, I had to make sure that my kids knew that they never had to lie to me about anything.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Like,
huge.
I don't
love
care
that.
how bad you
Yes.
screwed up. I don't care what you did, but create an environment where you will never feel like you have to lie to me,
That's
which is why even when things were like, they were never worried about how I would react to something. Like that was never a concern, which is why the transparency.
amazing.
I wish
went
I
all
could
the
say
way
that in my
through.
Yeah,
house.
right?
No, that's something that I
And you
accept
can
too.
tell the benefits because I ended up being the house where other kids were hanging out too
Yes,
and
the
lying
cool
to
house.
their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't even about the cool house. It was the fact that like they were lying to their parents and my kids knew they didn't have to.
Safe.
Yes.
A
You
safe
know?
house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was margin for error. You could screw up and that was not going to define everything about you. And I went through a lot of that with Abby, especially in the younger years. It's like she made bad choices. She wasn't a bad person. Like how to navigate that
love
too.
that.
You know, like
I love
that was huge. We swam against the current for a solid 10 years.
No, that's
10
I've told my
years.
kids the same. If, the one thing I cannot handle is you lying to me, and if I ever find out you lie to me, there's going to be a lot of consequences there. And you know,
I'm
I'm
a
sure.
physician, and I will poison you, and nobody will know.
You know what it is?
Nobody will know what happened to you.
It's explaining to your kids, like, just so you know, like, we know everything.
Yes,
And if
we've
I
been
don't
through
call you out on
everything.
it, it's not because you got away with it.
No.
It's because I decided to let you think you
Yes.
got
You
away
want
with
to
it.
die on that hill.
Yes, and
Yeah,
I've
that's
always
how
told
we
them, you
know.
know,
How many times
yes.
do we say that
Yeah,
to each
I
other?
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, okay. When your daughter challenges you, and we know that they're all going to do that because we want to raise our strong, confident girls, how do you balance respect and authority with giving her the space to use her own voice? That was difficult for me. Like I want you to have your own opinion, but don't challenge me. So that I'm interested in knowing how you handle that.
I think the main thing is just I've just learned over the years to let them talk, like, and me listen, right? So a lot of times we'll just sit and they'll just be like, and I've told them this early on, just come to me and talk to me, and I will learn to listen and not give advice all the time, because the more advice I give, then you're just going to be thinking that I'm telling you what to do and bossing you around. So a lot of times they'll just come and just talk, and I'll be like, okay, and then just kind of give them my advice later if they want it. If they don't, they can get up and leave, and that's it, right? I mean, I think that's helped our relationship a lot with all three of mine. I mean, my little one's learning it now, but the twins for sure. Like sometimes they'll just be like, oh, Mom, thanks for just letting me talk and just listening and not telling me what to do or how to handle this or who to call or what to do. To me, that's my biggest thing with them.
I like to piggyback on that. So it's interesting. It took me a little time to kind of get there, but it got to a place where it really helped all of that communication because Abby would be able to then say to me, like, before she even got into whatever she was going to talk to me about, it was like, I need you to just listen. And tomorrow, like, because my instinct is problem solving. I just come
same.
from a long line. It's
Same.
generational. So
took
like
me a
I
lot.
hear problem, I'm like, I got 7 solutions. Which one you got?
Yeah.
I've already researched them. Take it,
No,
dealer's
it's really
choice.
hard to hold and not
Yes.
say anything.
And my
It's
son
difficult.
responds to it much better. And also, like, we talk a much different language. But with Abby, she'd be like, put all of your ideas in a folder. Let me vent this out. And when I'm ready, we can talk about that.
Yes.
And so having that kind of openness and that conversation, I think the other piece is that if it was somewhere that if it was an issue between her and me, it became like, I can't hear your message when you come at me like this.
Yeah.
Like I can't,
That's what my
I
youngest
can't
told.
process what you're
I
trying
feel like
to
we
tell
need to
me.
snap for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's true. It was like, if you, I won't even hear it when you come in hot like that. So like, come back to me when you can articulate, because I genuinely will listen.
Yeah.
But not when you come in hot like that. Like now it's just, you know,
Yeah.
it's like dealing with toddlers.
Yeah.
Right? And trying to have a conversation when someone's like so out of their minds. So like,
You can
take a
say
breath.
anything
It
that
is.
you want to me, but you best say it with respect.
Well, that's exactly it.
Yes.
And because I would want that. I don't want my kids to not be honest and not be vocal and not say what they have to say. But I am still your mom.
Yeah. you have
Like
to have that
sometimes
fine
things
line.
would come out and I was like, so I'm not your friend?
Yes. at
So
this
we're going to
moment.
dial that down. We're going to march it back and you're going to come back and talk to me
That's
like
my
a normal
mantra.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
like,
like, not your friend.
not your friend.
My parenting mantra,
But
not
that
your friend.
yes, no.
But I think that's where a
But
lot
the
goes
listening is a big
sideways.
deal, yeah. And I've told my husband as well because he's dealing with 3 daughters and he's had a heart attack like every day. But I've told him too, just listen, don't give them advice. And he's used that too, and it's helped their relationship a lot. I read it in a book one time. I don't know which book I read, but they had said just
That's
listen.
not helpful to say
just
I read it
listen.
in a book. I don't know what book it is.
No, I meant I read it when I.
It's a podcast. You're supposed to give resources. I don't know what book it was.
But it was many, many years ago. It was just something, I don't even know where I had seen it. I'm like, that's so smart. Just let me listen, because it's so hard
listen.
to not give advice,
It's
know?
like sitting on your hands and watching someone drown.
It is. But once you see the results, it's like, okay, maybe this is
Well,
working.
it is. As a mom, your instinct is you want to
Yeah.
fit. Like, no, there is something like that. I don't know if it's like chemical or whatever, but like watching your kids suffer is visceral. Like,
Yeah, it is.
Like when I hear the sound of my kid's voice and I know they're struggling, I literally find it hard to function because all I can think about is like, what's going on with them? How am I going to help? How am I going to fix?
Yeah, how do I
and
fix it?
and that though cannot come out in me jumping in and getting them out of the pool. It has to be something where it's like, how do I support, how do I listen, and how do I let them kind of figure this out?
Problem solve.
And where do I jump in? Like, where is it appropriate?
It's so
for me
nice of you
jump
to
in?
summarize the last 3 months of the Ross house. We all
I got
know
news
what
for
that
you.
was
That's
like.
every house.
Oh, that was, like when my son went to college and was like the typical, I'm ready to go. I can't wait to be on my own. All the things. And then he goes, and then a week later he realizes,
Oh, I missed
I
them.
need to go home.
Yes.
And it was triage. And it is. It's like watching them drown. But I had to come in with the tough love and balance the nurture, the not helping, and
Right.
just listening and let him sort through and work through. And I would always, instead of offering him, I would just listen and say, well, what are you going to do about that? Because I'm empowering him and saying, okay, you're 1,000 miles from home. This is the decision you made. You worked so hard to get to this space. And because you're homesick, you want to just throw it all away. I even said, what kind of mom would I be if I let you do that? So we're going to work through this together. And within 3.5 months, like, boom, everything was fine. But it was that tough love. I needed to have that
That's so
tough
good.
love and push back a little bit. And I mean, he was pushing hard.
That's so good. You know what I said to Jordan? Suck it up.
Well, I think
That was very nurturing of you.
I
Just
think
to let
even
you
the
know.
most confident ones and the ones who have the tougher exterior, like the difference between my kids is Jonah's definitely like just not as like tough on the outside kind of personality. Like Abby presents very confident. Abby presents like very strong, very confident, and she is all those things. But because she's all those things, it's sometimes hard like to kind of break down and see what's really going on, right? Like, and Abby was always very independent about solving her own problems. Like even from a young age, very mature like that. Like she worked it out. So I knew when she did come to talk about something with me, she had already done as much as she could on her own.
Aw.
But it's harder
It's like
to
way
kind
beyond
of
her pay grade till she came to you.
yeah. But it's harder to see on those kids that have that tough exterior. And, you know, like it was the same thing. I thought she couldn't wait to go to college. She's going to go to UF. Everyone loves it. It's so great. All the things. And it was fucking hard. And she was struggling. And it wasn't easy. And it wasn't all like unicorns and rainbows. And navigating all of that, she went from kind of like the most confident version of herself to not necessarily, as she tried to figure out where is my place here? Who are my friends? Where do I fit in?
Yeah.
This doesn't work. Like it's hard to do, especially from a distance, but you also identify, like you get the most vulnerable version of them. And that's something that you and I talked about.
talked
Like
about that a lot.
those phone calls
Yeah.
are in the height of what's going on in that moment. And it's so important for us to recognize that, because the reality is they hang up the phone and within hours, everything's changed.
Yes.
Like a million things have happened, and like they're at the rager, they're doing
Yes.
keg stands. You know, like I have no friends.
Did
to
you ever do keg stands?
Maybe just once, but it was at like Josh's 30th.
I'm not going to ask you because I know the answer. Did you ever do keg stands?
No, I didn't.
Not
do
I
a
didn't
keg
think so.
stand,
How
no.
about
we
you?
did, we did a keg party for Josh's 30th
I
I'm
wasn't
birthday.
not
into that.
athletic.
I love it.
I'm not athletic. I
No,
can't do
that
it.
wasn't a thing for me.
That probably would have been.
I
I
can't do a handstand.
I was raising babies in college. That's what I was
That's
doing
no
in
fun.
college.
That's okay. If you could go back and whisper something to your younger self about confidence, what would it be? What do you wish someone had told you about being a strong woman before you had to figure it out the hard way?
I didn't have to figure it out the hard way.
Oh, you didn't?
No, because I feel like my mom, like I really was raised to speak your mind. To like I don't know. I didn't feel my confidence issues are more in my workspace because it was something that was new, unfamiliar, I wasn't trained in. But I think like for me, the house that I grew up in, like it was so safe from a place of like you could truly be yourself. You could speak your mind, and like the love was so unconditional. I didn't struggle with that. And I think like Abby also like just kind of came out of the womb pretty confident. Like she was in 5th grade and this kid invited the entire class of girls to their birthday party and they did not invite her. And you want to talk, I mean, to this day,
That-
don't think
yeah.
I don't know who her name is, and I'm not going to
Say it out loud.
in here.
Let's do it.
Okay, but it
Allison
it-
Lopez. She tortured me. She
I have a few
tortured
names.
me.
But I say that to say that I went to the school
You're not
teacher.
going to say the name?
No.
I just called out my high school, my
went-
middle school bully.
I went to no, because Abby would kill me. But I went to the teacher to say, is there something that I should know about? Because that is a very big statement
Yeah,
to make
that
when you
is.
do something like this. She's like, I honestly have no idea. She's like, I see them spending time together. I've never seen anything. And I looked at Abby and I was like, you know, I'm going to call her mom. And she said, no. She's like, I would rather you didn't. If she doesn't want me there, I don't want to be there.
Yes.
Oh.
And the way she moved past it, I was like, oh my God, like
Wow.
I need to take a page out of this book because we're what, 15 years out and I'm still pissed.
Yeah.
Like I'm still ready
That's
to
the
be
maternal.
pissed out of
That's
her.
the maternal instinct. Yeah.
But
right?
What a
But-
stupid party
But
that
from
was.
the youngest age, and even so dumb.
You're dumb.
But even to this day, even the way she talks about like what she wants in a relationship.
Yeah.
And her confidence in terms of being like, you know what? Like I'm gonna be all the things that like people will tell you don't show that side and early on. And she's like, no, I'm showing it all because you know what? You should know now
Yeah.
instead of 6 months in. Like this is what I want.
That
This
I
is
like
what I'm
wrapped
not willing.
gifts.
I
like
like
wrapped gifts.
and I don't want to compromise.
No.
These are things, and I loved, and like that's why I say like I almost have learned confidence through her because she is so unwavering in what she like knows she's worth and her value. And I almost feel like I don't even know if we were a part of that or this is just like how
she
she
is.
came out of the box. Yeah.
Oh, you certainly could have
You-
suppressed it.
Well, that's why I say
I
my
think you
my
definitely were a
goals
part of
were
it.
how do I nurture and channel the beast is what I refer to it in the first 10 years. But how do I maintain that and also help her kind of control it so that it wasn't a massive problem in the greater scheme of things, right? Like I did not want to dampen the spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
that was
that makes sense.
to me it was like all the things that were driving me crazy about her as a kid were the things that were going to make her a baller as
An
a parent
amazing-
or
Yeah.
as, a,
Yeah.
as, an
Amazing
adult.
woman.
Yeah.
So
What do you wish someone had told you about being a strong woman before you had to figure it out the hard way?
You're going to be really surprised at all the things you end up accomplishing
Hmm.
because I did not grow up in a house like yours. And I absolutely get my confidence from my daughter. And I think my husband has raised her in confidence. My mother-in-law especially has raised her in confidence. Have I raised her in confidence? I have, but it's more of like God speaking through me to her. And it's my response to not having it that's had me raise her in confidence. I'm winging it, right? I'm just saying like this is what I would have been taught. This is what I wish I would have been taught. So I do get a lot of confidence from her, like you mentioned with Abby, but I wish I would, if I could say something to my younger self, it would be wait till you see all the things that you're gonna do. You're so nervous and you're so afraid and you have all this fear and you're 30 years from now, you're not gonna have any of that. It's gone. And you're going to be leading other women and you're going to be parenting amazing children. You're going to be on a platform that's doing all of these things. You're going to be in a charitable organization helping other teens. That's where you're going to be. I wish you could see that now. So that's what it would be for me. Like look at your future self.
Mine would be just probably be yourself and don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid of what's out there and ask questions. Again, I was raised very conservative Indian family, so it was kind of like make sure you study hard, make sure you become doctor, lawyer, or engineer. Right? Those are the only three choices you have at some
I'm
point.
Jewish, same thing.
Yeah,
same.
yeah, exactly, right? So I always told my parents that you're lucky I wanted to be a doctor because that's just something I ended up being on my own. I wanted to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of growing up, I was raised in a very loving family. My parents were amazing, but I lost them early. And I think for me, it was a lot of kind of I had a lot of low self-esteem. I was always very chubby, and it didn't really bother me as much. But, when people talk, and even in India, like, okay, you go and you're like, they'll tell you, oh, you need to lose weight and you need to do this. And it's very forward in our culture. So growing up, and then my sister was like 90 pounds. So, and she's like 6 years older. So it's always kind of compared.
That's
but
amazing.
then I'm in India, I'm the lighter one and she was the darker one. So being light in India or light skin fair is like this whole royalty like level. So it's kind of like you're lighter but you're fatter. So it was always a thing. So to me it was more exactly. So me it was more confidence in myself. Like I wish I would have just been able to just be allowed to wear whatever I want and be whoever I want, ask questions. So it kind of held me back from a lot of, I guess, learning maybe about other people and just kind of asking questions and growing within. But I will say that having my daughters definitely has raised my. This is probably the most confident I've been my whole life. I will even say my husband, when I got married and when we met, he raised my confidence to a whole new level. You know, it was always like anything I would do was like the best, and it was just so nice to have a partner like that. So then when I had my kids, even till this day, oh mom, you look beautiful. Oh mom, we love that. It's like everything out of their mouth is just praise, and it's kind of like wow, you know, and you probably get it from your kids as well. But coming from that, you know, when I was young, without not having self-confidence, and that's why a lot of times I'm even scared to speak in public. And she knows PTO meetings are like, oh my God, I get so nervous just speaking in front of 20 people, right?
Those can be super brutal.
I know. So, but I'm learning and I'm growing through my kids. And the one thing that I wanted to raise them to be was confident, especially being women in this world. So again, like the older twin, you know, speech and debate was a big thing I pushed for all of them. And I think that helped them grow confidence. And, you know, they're competing against all levels. And even her twin, you know, kind of took some classes and became confident in her own way. And my youngest is doing theater, which is a huge confidence booster. So I watch them and I'm just so happy that they're happy with who they are and they don't care about what anyone else thinks. They don't care about what they wear or who they're hanging out with. They just are happy with themselves. And I think that's going to take them, you know, throughout their whole life.
I think losing a parent when you're young too, like plays a part. At least it did for me. Like I was young when I lost my dad, and I think it gave me such a different perspective on how I approached being a parent. Like I operated from a place of like I could be working on limited time,
Right.
and so I appreciated even the hard stuff. Like people like, well, a lot of people be like, well, how did you handle this? That must have sucked. I'm not going to lie and say it was easy by any stretch, but my appreciation for all the stages and all the challenges, like I knew the upside.
Yes.
And so like my approach to it was such from a place of, look, I was so grateful to have them. And I was so grateful for the opportunity to be a mom to them. And I took advantage of every moment. Like to me, I treasured traffic. Oh, like traffic was the best because I got
more time with your
I got undivided attention in the car where they would yip and yap because the second you pull in the driveway, like you lose to whatever, you know. So I think like the approach, at least for me, was very much from a place of like, I don't know the amount of time. So also like teaching and developing confidence, independence, the ability, like for me, I was like, I need to know my kids are going to be okay if I'm not here.
Yes.
And I needed that to start as early as possible. Yes. Like I needed to know that they could handle a lot.
Yes.
So I think that played a big part in all of that.
My mom did the same thing. My father died before I was 3. And so she was everything to us. And she made it was an intentional choice to make sure that we could survive without her if something were to happen to her. So we were intentionally placed in situations where we were separate and had to figure it out. So last question. I wish we could do this for another hour, but we can't. What is the one message or mantra or lesson that you hope your daughter holds on to long after she is grown? Dun, dun, dun.
So my dad used to have a saying growing up. He used to always say, against the strong will of a man and the actions he does, even his creator cannot stand. So it's just something that my sister and I have just lived by. It's something he used to say all the time and have it written everywhere. And I just tell my kids that no matter what you do in life, you have to be happy with what you're doing, and you have to be respectful and respected, and you have to have that confidence, and you have to have the independence. Just a little bit on the parents' part, because I don't know if they know the history, but my parents were murdered in '99 in a veterinary practice. My dad was a veterinarian, and I was 21. So, taking with what you were saying, that I told my kids, you don't know how long you're going to live or how long life is going to be. So I just take it one day at a time, and I tell them you have to enjoy every minute of it. And that's why my kids are so important to me, because I lost that so early on. And yeah, that's just the most important thing I always tell them, that you have to be happy with what you do, and no regrets, for sure.
So we were like the same age. I was
terrible.
22.
Yes.
And you know what? So I think for me, I remember so my dad passed suddenly, and it was a whole trauma around it just because I found him and all the things. But
oh, goodness.
the thing that my mom said, and I think I was so blessed because I didn't have a situation where like something happened and we were all of a sudden like scrambling over, I wish I had said this. I wish I had, there was none of that.
Yes.
And my mom, even though she's still not, she doesn't believe she actually said it, but she did, said that there was nothing left unsaid, just things left undone. And I think that's, to me, the most important thing I want my kids to grow up thinking, like knowing to be true. It's helped guide me.
Yeah.
Because I can put my head on the pillow every night and I know that everyone in my, like, I have not left. The people who I love know I love them. I have like done my best to be a good person, live a good life. I work really hard. I care for the people around me. I don't leave loose ends from the standpoint of like, I will not be lying on my deathbed saying, I wish I had said this different or I'd fix this relationship.
Exactly.
Like to me, that is really important. And
Yes.
that's something I want for my kids. So nothing left unsaid, just things left undone.
That's great. Yeah. That is
love that.
very true. Yes.
I think it's just follow your dreams, whatever that is, whatever you want to do in life, whoever you want to be with, whatever family you want, follow that. And it's okay to change your mind and follow a different dream. I was not really raised by anyone. I kind of raised myself. I didn't even realize that I was raising myself until I met my husband, because I met him very young. And I never realized what an actual family looked like with people that raised you.
Right.
So I wasn't raised to have dreams. I was the first person in my family to go to college. So I wasn't raised that way. And so I just want my kids, especially my daughter, who is a dreamer, such a dreamer. Every time she performs on stage, you could see it in her face. It's like this dream that she's performing. And it's just whatever that is. I don't care if you're a doctor or if you are an entrepreneur, if you're an inventor, if you're doing nails. I don't care what you do, but whatever your dream is, do it. And don't let anyone stop you. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't, including myself, like the pursuit of happiness, who says, if you have a dream, do it. Don't anybody tell you can't, including me. And that's it. I just want them to live their dreams, whatever it is, what kind of family it is, where they live. I don't care. I want them to be happy and living their dream.
I think that, like, when you say that, like, what I think about is when I decided to move to Florida, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And coming from Toronto, especially in the Jewish community, like,
Even
nobody
though
really
it's
leaves.
the best state.
Nobody really picks up
don't
and
agree with
moves
that.
easily. Like, if you're born and raised in Toronto, especially in our community, in the Jewish community, like, 95+% stay and do. And I always remember just the way my mom supported it, even though I knew it was taking a little piece. And I think for me, it's like, I want my kids to know that it's okay to make decisions that might
Break your heart.
hurt my heart a little
Yeah.
bit, or even to me might be disappointing. And I use air quotes because that's such a subjective thing.
Yeah.
But to truly live a life that feels right to them. Like, and I always, I value and I love my mom so much for the fact that she was able to really, she never once did I feel a tinge of the guilt. My sister laid it on pretty damn thick, but my mom kept it to herself.
That's what sisters are for.
Yeah, she was like, I'm not going to ruin my vacations coming to visit you in Florida. I was like, I'll live with that for 15 years. But
Oh my goodness.
I say that to say that I want my kids to know that, like, their life is theirs to lead. And it's not to just make us happy. And it's not just to make sure we're not disappointed or to live up to what we expect or want. Like, I want them to feel that. I don't want them to ever think that they have to make decisions based on the fact that, like, Dad and I will be upset if you move away.
No, I just told them I'll move with them.
Yeah. Just gonna buy the house.
I don't
want
to. Yes, I don't want to live
literally
with
why I
you,
work.
but I want to
It's
live my own life,
yes.
but near you.
It's so funny we're having this conversation because my cousin, who I have many cousins, but the cousin I'm closest with, Emily, her husband is a police officer getting to his retirement, and they want to move to North Carolina, and she's really dealing with a lot of this and the disappointment of the family, the guilt, the this and that and the other. And she called me, and because I came down from Connecticut to Florida as a young girl, and always promised my family that I would move back. And then I had children, and I said, I'm not moving back. And I got all of it. Your husband's brainwashing you, you don't know what life is without family, all of it. I've built a pretty damn good life.
Yep.
And I told Emily last night, I said, I understand as a mom and as a sister how your family feels. But there is no distance that separates me from my sister. There is no distance that separates me from my family. And especially with all the technology we have,
Yeah.
like, let's use it for good rather than likes and whatevers. But I said to her, you make your own life. You're building your family. Your father and mother are there to raise you, and then you leave your father and mother and you start your own family. And mom and dad, they're going to be gone one day. And then you're left with the life you built,
Yes.
not the life they built.
Yes.
And I told her, I said, just stand firmly, be understanding. Very tight knit family. This is like a big, this is a big
Listen,
deal.
it was huge.
My
when
aunt
I
is going to
picked
come
up.
for me.
Yeah.
for saying this
It
to
was
her.
big. Like me, my mom, my sister
Yeah.
were inseparable. Like and still are. And that's the whole thing. Is like even with the move, my sister and I and our kids are closer than if they were any closer, we'd all need like some massive interventions. Like
My in-laws family. I think about my mother-in-law, and you all know my mother-in-law is my best friend on the planet. I think about it now. All of her kids, except for 2 of her sons, are everywhere. Spokane, Washington, Northern Florida, South Florida, Virginia. They're all over the place. She goes everywhere to see them.
Yes.
They're living their best lives. And she is a Southern Baptist, very motherly, always involved in everything that it's not like she didn't care. She just wanted more for them. Did you say this to me? I think you said this. Your world as a parent has to become small so theirs can become big.
Oh, I just love that.
You said that to
I
me.
said that?
I think you
That's
did.
more snapping.
It was either you or Yoda.
I might have blacked out.
It was
All right.
you or Yoda.
I love this conversation, but we have to wrap it up.
to be continued.
To be continued. If you love this conversation too, and this was right up your alley, please share this podcast with another parent who feels alone right now. And subscribe, and join us next time on This Is Now Parenting Teens Today. Have a great day.